Hello, welcome to, I think, the fifth episode of Are You a Saint? It's been about a few weeks since I've recorded. Sorry about that, got kind of busy. But this episode's going to be about love, unconditional love. I found that the whole goal of spirituality really is to better understand love and to experience it differently. The trick with love is you can't describe it. Like, I'm going to try my best, but the word love isn't love, just like the word tree isn't a tree. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, guys, I do these podcasts live on Twitch whenever I do them. So if you hear me responding to people, it's because of that. There's a live chat. Yeah, it has been a while. But yeah, basically, as soon as you say that this is love, it's not love anymore. It's an idea, a concept, a memory. Just like the word tree isn't a tree. Love is that feeling you get when you almost disappear. So it's not you loving something. There's just the experience of love. More like being in love together with something instead of loving it. When you meditate, you are focusing on the distractions in your mind that are keeping you from realizing this state of endless love that's already here. Oh, I dropped out of college a while ago. But yeah, when you meditate, focus on your lack of love, all of a sudden you realize that the love is already there. It's just that when you get swept up with life, swept up with the ego's habits, you don't take time to stop and notice that love. There's two main paths in non-duality, or just spirituality in general. Typically, they're split into self-inquiry and devotion. Of course, there's many more paths, but I'm just generalizing. Self-inquiry is the more heady aspect of spirituality, the more questioning. Like Ramana Maharshi, for example, his "Who am I?" The question of just asking yourself, "Who am I?" and inquiring into that question. That's a more self-inquiry, Advaita Vedanta, intellectual style of spiritual practice. The other side is devotional. I never really understood devotional practice until maybe a few months ago, and now I've been learning about it. But devotion is basically love. It's like letting go of yourself, surrendering yourself to this greater power, greater being, God, whatever you want to call it. And even though they both seem very separate on the surface, like opposites almost, they're both the same at the root. They're both doing the same thing, just using a different path, a different technique. No, I haven't watched Rupert Spira. I actually haven't consumed a lot of spiritual content. The main stuff was J. Krishnamurti and Ramana Maharshi. I really like Anandamayi Ma. But I honestly am not as well read or well versed in spirituality as I'm sure a lot of you are. I'd say that that's one of the reasons why I've experienced so much love and like peace of mind personally, because I didn't just stick with books. I read the books and then didn't read a book for a while and like forced myself to adapt what I read into my actual life. Like right now I'm actually writing a book about 4 different ways to meditate, basically. Because meditation is such like a broad thing. I feel like everyone everyone meditates, they just don't realize it, and everyone meditates in different ways as well. Yet, every form of meditation points to the same root, the same ground, the same present state of awareness. Yeah, you like the differentiating between intellectual and devotional aspects of spirituality. It's like the intellectual and devotional aspects of life in general. You know, all of our lives include both the pursuit of knowledge, thinking about stuff, and then the other part of life, the resting in love, relaxing, watching TV. Our minds kind of split those two experiences into two sides, the more difficult intellectual and the more relaxed and loving. Same with spirituality, they've done the same. They've also created self-inquiry, a lot of questioning, effort. And I know it's not really effort at the end, but that's what the path feels like at first. And then devotional, this just loving, letting go, surrendering. But at the end of it, the true realization is when they both meet together. And now you're almost questioning the ego while knowing that this whole questioning is coming from love, as love. Oh, you're asking a good question. Can we contemplate why one creates content and it's a clever extension of ego dressed up as creativity? I mean, anything you do ever is ego. Any action, any choice, even the sense of being yourself is the ego. It's easy to start to point at things in your life and say, that's ego, that's not ego. But even the one who's pointing this out, the one who's comparing one thing with another, comparing an ego-based action with a non-ego-based action, that too, that comparer is the ego as well. Of course, when I now sit down here and I have to fiddle with my microphone and I have to come up with content ideas and I have to find the motivation to post videos, of course that's coming from this sense of a separate self, theoretically. But enlightenment is when you realize that even that separate self, that ego, isn't actually separate, isn't actually bad. It's not a bad thing to make videos. It's not a bad thing to overeat, to go on hikes, to get mad at someone. None of it's a bad ego-based activity and therefore not God, not love. The realization is that that too is love. Can you, in a difficult situation when you see yourself start to cling to attachments more than usual, get more emotional than usual, can you look at that too and say, this too is God, this too is love, this too is okay? As soon as you can genuinely feel that way, experience life that way, I mean, that's it. That's the freedom. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. It's all love. Even the scared, separate self is love. Accepting that the ego serves a purpose and falling in love with actively shaping your ego is something I've recently accepted. Everything is love, just in different forms. Yeah, it's a great comment. I mean, that's what it is. That's the realization. And it comes in waves, all these realizations. I've personally noticed that I'll have a realization and then it might fade away a little bit and then come back. And it might even wait months for it to surface again. It's not about getting frustrated that you're not making progress. It's about also saying that the lack of progress is love too. Like, I feel like that's really where I could just kind of end it, right? Like, I can end the whole conversation there. Look at the ego and see that it too is love, it too is God. And then there's no more pursuit, there's no more need to do anything because it's already done, it's already enlightenment. How do I grow out of agnosticism? Is that the belief in no God? You don't need to Oh, can you guys hear the fly flying right above the mic? You guys don't need to grow to love God or convince yourself of God or all of a sudden start to force yourself to believe in God or anything really. You just need to kind of prove to yourself that it exists. That's why I really like the phrase, the finger pointing to the moon isn't the moon. So any description of love, of God, isn't actually God. You need to really touch it yourself. So if you do want to start to believe in it or have faith in something like this, in love, unconditional love, oneness, just pure awareness, non-dual awareness, you don't read books and convince yourself. You experience it firsthand, and then there's no need to convince because it's just what is. God isn't something that needs to be created by you. It's already here right now. I mean, how else are you alive? How else do you feel all these intense emotions? There's no doubt an awareness of life. No doubt that there's an awareness of the words I'm saying right now, right? You are aware of what I'm saying. But who's this you that's aware of it? Who is sitting in their chair or in their car or walking and listening to this podcast, to the things I'm saying? Who's sitting there analyzing the words? Can you just rest in that feeling of being this separate analyzer, this experiencer of life? Can you just accept that experience and learn from it? When you stop running away from the ego, from the fact that you believe that you're separate, when you just experience what it's like, you see that it's not also separate. That even this feeling of being the ego isn't happening to someone. It's just another experience. It's all just experience. It's all just this moment flowing. Yeah, back on that belief, okay. We all have our own spiritual, religious, life beliefs, just things we believe in, opinions we have. When you want to believe in something, you're sort of manufacturing a system of thought. Try to watch yourself create beliefs or opinions. Watch your mind weave a story using thought that solidifies this separate ego, this person that you are. Notice that endless story that's always being created. How would there be a story without a main character, right? The story our thoughts create assumes that we are the main character, that we're this entity who is traversing through time, experiencing different things, and growing from it. It's assumed. Otherwise, the thoughts wouldn't be there to weave a story. That assumption and the story that's being weaved afterwards creates the sense of ego, separation, which is the reason why we feel far away from love. Because there's me over here and love over there, or God over there, or enlightenment over there. There's a me who can now experience enlightenment. But you see how there's two things. There's the ego and an experience to be had. But there's no two. There's no you experiencing something. There's just what is. There's just what's happening. That's why non-duality is such an immense change in perspective. When you stop seeing things as a me and a you, when it's just what's happening, It's just this one constant moment that we're just a part of. Oh no. I'm gonna have to move. The fridge got kind of loud. I'm gonna go outside. You guys let me know. If you can still hear stuff. Isn't it beautiful outside? Sorry for the people on the podcast. I'm just changing set. That's why you guys should watch these on YouTube, so you can see the actual video. Well, this is kind of nice, honestly, out here. But where was I? If anything, that's a good example. So there was a fridge noise that popped up and kind of ruined my plan. You know, made me have to change what I was doing. If I was attached to sitting inside on the couch, I'd be pretty upset right now. But because I know that it's not the fridge that will bring me joy, it's not the nice couch that will bring me joy, when I know that that love is always there because it's what everything is, you know, it's like the baseline. Oh, and now the plane is loud outside. But you just stop relying on outside things for love. You stop treating others and situations as the key to the love within you. And you just know that that love is there no matter what you do. And that's the freedom. That's when the love is unconditional. Let me see. It's just kind of bright outside. I'm going to get sunburned. You yearn for the trees. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'll give you guys a little like update on my personal life. Yeah, I hope you don't hear the background noise. I bought like nice microphones. Personal life. Yeah, I'm back at the Buddhist Center in the Rocky Mountains. If you guys were here when I first started posting. This is where I started posting videos. I lived here for like 3 months in the summer. Left for a little bit, but I'm only back for a few more days now before I'm going to Yosemite National Park to host the retreat I'm doing. There's going to be like 8 of you guys, and we're going to do like a nice 2-day camping, hiking, meditation type retreat. So that's going to be really fun. I can't wait to film some of it and show you guys. I mean, it's always just easier to notice and recognize the love or enlightenment within you when you're around other people who are also focused on the same thing, because it's easier to almost see through the separation between a me and a you if both of us aren't very attached to the story of our ego. During my trip to New York recently, before I came to the Buddhist Center, I ended up spending some time with a girl who I just met, and she was very loving and open, and her sense of identity wasn't that strong, and the same went for me. So it just kind of brings up that experience of love. Like looking into someone's eyes, you all of a sudden see yourself because you're looking at yourself through their eyes. The same goes for love. Same goes for things like your dog or cat or a tree you really like. How do I feel about leading the retreat? You know, at times I'll get nervous about it, but it's mostly the logistics. Make sure it all goes smoothly. But when I realized that that's what I was worried about, that doesn't bother me anymore. Now I'm just excited to spend time with you guys. Learn to love better together. I mean, that's all this is. That's all meditation, spirituality is. But yeah, I'm excited. You're gonna cry. It's so sweet hearing men talk about this. Talk like this about a woman. Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't feel this way or understand love like this when I was younger. So it honestly is really nice to appreciate love more and understand it better and feel it better. And I know that this love that I'm experiencing now, even though I didn't feel it in my first relationship, it doesn't mean it wasn't there. And that's just really freeing. What happened for me to go into these things? Like, why did I start posting content? I guess why did I get into spirituality in the first place is the real question. I had pretty bad OCD / anxiety randomly during the pandemic. And I've always been a bit of I've always liked control, you know? And that fear and suffering pushed me to non-duality, to spirituality. And now I realize that the anxiety from wanting control over stuff, the anxiety about controlling things and making sure they go a certain way is the closest and most direct pointer towards the ego and therefore towards God, because the ego is also God, is also love. Next time you feel deep fear, try to follow the line. Try to find where the fear is coming from and who is claiming to be afraid. Who is thinking, I'm afraid right now, I need to do something to get rid of the fear. Try to find out who that is. Use the anxiety, the fear, the suffering as a tool, a pointer. And then you stop getting so upset about it when you get afraid. I mean, that's the worst part about life. It's being afraid. It's why we do all the things we do. When you say, I want to be happy all the time, you're basically saying that you're afraid of being afraid or sad or bored. It's like an inverse, you know? When you want something, it means you don't want something else. I'm glad what I'm saying is resonating so deeply with you. Yeah, you too, all you guys listening and watching, I hope what I'm saying is resonating. And if it doesn't, it just means you're at a different point in life, you know? Some things still don't resonate with me, and that's fine. But you find the things that do click, that do just like change your perspective, even if it's a little bit. Like the book I'm writing now, it's gonna have 4 main like pillars, forms of meditation to practice. I can almost promise you that they're not all gonna resonate with you. And that's fine. But you find what does. It's just what your ego needs at that moment to help it realize itself. Was I a thinker when I was a child as well? Yeah, I was always kind of a weird kid. I was very like, I'd jump right into things. More like if I was committed to something, I would commit to something to like an immense degree, almost obsessive. And I like to think and plan things. Like I'm telling you, I'm just like a normal dude, like honestly. Like I've said this a few times, but I'm like, just like a normal dude. You can ask any of my like old friends. You know, you don't have to be born a little bit messy, not that messy. Weirdos unite. Yeah, we're all a little bit weird, I guess, but it's more fun than being normal or boring. Like I have a few friends who are, I'm gonna go back in, it's getting kind of hot. But that was a fun little adventure. But I have a few friends who are like accountants and engineers. No offense to you guys if you're listening, but you know, I just don't think I could do that. It just seems like such a boring, stereotypical life. Like, what's the point at that point? Have some fun, you know, explore. You know, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Don't expect there to be a tomorrow. And if you're doing that, then what? Aren't you going to live your life way differently? Why is that? Yeah, I hope the sound of the fridge isn't too loud. You guys let me know. Oh yeah. So next time I'm live, it'll probably be right before the Yosemite retreat, but there's a chance I'll already be in Paris by then, which would be kind of fun. Kind of weird to think about. So should I fear that there may be tomorrow, or should I take lessons about it? That's good because I literally just referred to like 2 weeks, so the future. The thing with time and like tomorrow in the past is, of course, you have a doctor's appointment a week from now. That concept of time needs to exist. We need to have a clock so we know when to go to things. But time doesn't exist from the perspective of the experience of it. Don't worry, the fridge just turned off. Thank God. All of your memories are only ever experienced or thought about in the present moment, right? Tomorrow, too, when you worry about tomorrow, you're doing that in the present moment, right? Everything you ever do, even regarding memories and preparing for the future, happens in this present moment. That's the concept of time. You really just need to sit with it. Try to imagine what it would be like to exist in the past or future. Just try. And then you'll realize that you can't, you know? Time is one of those things that if you can really like see through it, even for a moment, it's a big rip in the story of the ego. It really helps you see through it. What's your intentions behind the retreat? Are you trying to be a contemplative counselor? Or what's the mission? I'm not sure what that counselor term is, but I'm just, it's basically just like going to a meditation retreat center type thing. That's how I'm considering it. You just go to a place where, I mean, they've been doing these kinds of retreats for years in like Buddhism and various religions. But you basically just go somewhere where you surround yourself with people and concepts in a place that's helpful towards realizing oneness or God or love. I really need to think of like one word to use for that. The whole endless love God thing. It's less confusing. But it's basically just about surrounding yourself with God or bringing it to the surface so it's easier to notice in yourself. And I'll obviously do my best to be like a physical example and guiding through these practices and stuff together. You say I'm a Capricorn, so I have a bunch of thoughts all the time. I mean, that's definitely true, especially in the past. But I see that as a good thing. Having a bunch of thoughts, being pretty much overwhelmed with them for years, makes it so you have to learn how to exist with them. Like right there, for those few seconds, there wasn't a single thought in my mind. And it's not like I'm forcing that state. If you think, I don't want to think, I don't want to think, you're thinking. But if there's just this watching, this noticing of thought, the thoughts kind of go away on their own. It's the best way I can describe it. Oneness seems to describe the non-dual state. Yeah, I think oneness is probably the best way to describe it. I've used that term too in some written pieces. You like my mustache? Thank you. What do you think about thinking God in a metaphorical way? To like, how do you see God? Yeah, God is, my dad actually described it to me in a fun way a few years ago that stuck. God is that love or that reason for everything to connect to each other. The little atoms, the little cells, they all slowly attach more and more and more and more till they create bigger things like us or a tree. But that energy, that force, that love, that reason for connecting can be seen as God. But really, our experience of God is just all of it, everything. Nothing is not God, is not love. Everything that exists in this present moment is alive, and that life is God. It's really impossible to describe, you know. At the beginning of this podcast, I warned you guys that I wouldn't be able to describe love, that you never can, but you can kind of describe ways to get there or to experience love yourself. Yeah, love is everything. Yeah, I love all of you guys. It's been fun meeting you guys slowly as I travel the world. Do you think that God has a plan? And what do you think about evil? God is the plan. God is what will happen due to karma. Everything that ever happens happens due to one thing leading to the next, one moment leading to the next. And that chain of events is God, butterfly effect. So I wouldn't say that God has a plan, because God isn't something to have something else. But God is the plan. You did the US tour, but Europe tour when? Europe tour in 2 weeks. I bought a $150 direct flight to Paris from LA. So I'm going to be there soon, like right after the retreat I do. hmm Yeah, so I'll be in Paris first, and I have no plans at all besides for that. But I think I might fly to Romania first. I think it'll be beautiful in October. The leaves should be pretty nice. And I'm actually part Romanian, so I'd love to visit. The famous hot chocolate. Yeah, I'll be in Paris for at least 2 nights. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas, any of you guys listening, watching live, for me to do in Europe, anything you want me to do, any people you want me to meet, DM me, you know? Like, I'm gonna let these travels be an example of letting life pull you. So instead of being super controlling, I just let myself flow where life takes me, where the travels take me. Whether that's through you guys, through chance encounters. You want me to come to Belarus? Maybe, you know, Belarus is one of those places I probably wouldn't go alone. It seems like somewhere you'd want to have people that know the area. There are at least 3 of you in Germany and Austria. Yeah, definitely DM me. I'm going to post some stuff on my story asking for ideas. Actually, because I was about to buy that flight to Romania, I might ask you guys for requests first. The French Alps are magical. Really? Yeah. Okay. I have some thinking to do. But again, I'll end it with this. And I actually might come to Turkey. Hold life in an open palm. Like the travels. I'm holding the travels with an open palm. Whatever happens, happens. There's love anyways, always. Try to remind yourself of that open palm when you start to get stressed, afraid, feel any intense emotion. Yeah, I'll go to Turkey in the colder months. Again, I'll be in Europe in October, starting October. All right. I could talk to you guys for a while about this traveling stuff, but I don't want to drag out the podcast. I'll probably go live on Instagram. Honestly, I might go live on Instagram in a few hours today. Think about Belarus? Yeah, I honestly might come to Belarus. DM me on Instagram. If you want to show me around, I'd love that. Any of you guys, if you have a country that you want to show me around, DM me. I find that that's a really fun way to travel. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully soon. Again, keep your eyes peeled on my Instagram story today. I might be going live then. All love, guys. Hold life with an open palm. If you guys ever have any questions for me, DM me. I try to answer as many as I can. All love.